Good evening. My name is Yussif Chibsah, a licensed intermediary of Club Consult Africa. My consultancy was in charge of the transfer of Kwame Bonsu from Kumasi Asante Kotoko to Esperance last August 2019. This transfer for the past 2-3 days has generated a lot of controversies, and from the part of Club Consult Africa, I would like to clear the air as to what happened, what really transpired from the beginning of the transfer till now. If I recall very well, or if we all recall, as far back as last August 2019, we presented Kwame Bonsu to Esperance through a partner of mine in Tunisia called Slim. We showed them his videos, they showed interest. The scouting department followed up to check up on one or two things concerning this incident that happened in Sweden. Finally, we came to an agreement. They made a proposal to Kotoko. I got in touch with Kotoko. I requested for a mandate, which they did. We agreed on a fee to be paid to me if the deal goes through. So we seek permission. They granted us the permission. I flew to Tunisia with Kwame Bonsu. We went there right from the airport. Esperance took us straight to the hospital for Kwame to start his medicals. So we did the medicals. I think the first day we spent almost the whole day with the medicals. We couldn't finish. So the next morning we continued until the medicals was over. Then we went through the contract and then it was signed. Per the contract, Kotoko was entitled to $150,000 as a transfer fee. So Kotoko decided that they have bad experience with North African clubs when it comes to payment. So they would rather prefer to have full payment before they release his ITC, which I communicated to Esperance, but they said no, that has not been the normal practice in football, which I agree. Most transfers, ITCs are sent before payment is done, because most times it's just on few occasions that you get full payment done at once. Most times the payments are done in installments. So usually you have to release the ITC before payment is done. So I tried to convince Kotoko, because as a representative of the player and looking at Kwame Bonsu's history, what happened to him in Sweden, what he went through, and then bringing him to Kotoko, for him to have this opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't like to disclose the details of his contract, but the contract was too good for us to lose it, just because of doubts about payment. So I told Kotoko that, okay, you can hold me responsible if Esperance refuses to pay. I will make sure that whatever it takes for me to get Esperance to do the payment, I will do it. So we signed an undertaking. They asked me to sign an undertaking, which I did, and then they released Kwame Bonsu to Esperance. So after a couple of months, the payment was not coming through. I was in touch with Esperance. They were telling me, oh, they will pay. They sold Francom to an Arabian club, and therefore they were waiting for his payment. As soon as they get a payment, they will pay Asante Kotoko. I reported back to Kotoko. So it got to a point that they said, no, you signed an undertaking that you make sure we get our money. So we are holding you responsible. I accepted. I said, okay, if that is the case, the best way to deal with these North African clubs is to take them through litigation. So I have a legal person, a counsel that I work with when it comes to football. He's been with me everywhere I sign contracts. He's based in Portugal. So I got in touch with him, told him the story, sent him copies of the contract signed. So after studying the contract, he said, okay, it's a good case. Esperance cannot say they will not pay the money. So all he will need is for Kotoko to give him a mandate, for Kotoko to authorize him, because if the case should proceed to CAS, the contract is going to be used as an exhibit, and therefore, since it is Kotoko who signed the contract, they have to give him the mandate. So I came back to Kotoko and told him that, look, the lawyer needs a mandate in order to start action on this way. Initially, they said I should mandate the lawyer because I have signed an undertaking, but I told them it's not going to work, because when it goes to CAS, my name is not in the contract. The contract is between Kotoko and Esperance. So therefore, Kotoko should mandate the agent, which they agreed. So I made the lawyer to come down to Ghana just to meet Kotoko in person, so they will get to see each other, and then we take it from there. When he arrived, Kotoko wanted him to come to Accra, to Kumasi, but he said unfortunately he cannot come to Kumasi. He wants to stay in Accra and transact everything because he has just 2 days to go back to Portugal. So on the last day before his departure, Nana Kwame and Safoluku were able to get him the mandate. So Nana Kwame came to the airport, met him there, and then gave him the authorization. So as soon as he went back to Portugal, he set the ball rolling. He wrote to Esperance demanding payment for Kotoko. So upon receipt of the letter from the lawyer, Esperance wrote to Kotoko for their account details so that they will effect payment. When Kotoko received the email from Esperance, they then wrote to the agent in Portugal. But before that, after the authorization, we discussed about the legal fees, how much was involved. The lawyer said 10%, which we pleaded with him. We ended up with 7.5%. So Kotoko said, I should pay because I have signed an undertaking. I told them, look, it is true I have signed an undertaking. I accept responsibility for that. But that doesn't mean that they should leave everything on my shoulders. I'm trying my possible best to help this thing, to solve this issue. So if that is the case, okay, let's split the payment. We share 50-50 to pay the legal fees. They agreed, but they told me they will have to report to executive chairman for his confirmation before. So after a couple of days, they came back to me and said that they are not going to pay part of the legal fees. So it's entirely up to me since I have signed an undertaking. I actually wanted to get this off my back. I really want to solve this issue. So I accepted. I went back to the lawyer and told him, look, Pedro, that is the lawyer's name. His name is Pedro. Kotoko is not paying the legal fees. They've left it up to me. I have accepted responsibility because I have signed an undertaking. So please, let me just pay 5% for you to proceed. He said, okay, Yussif, no problem. He agreed, and therefore he said, but before he proceeds with the case, Kotoko should write back to him, authorizing him to go ahead with the case, because they've already sent him a mail to put a stop to the authorization they sent to him. So until Kotoko sends him another mail asking him to go further or to continue with the case, he can never go ahead with the case because they authorized it and they split it. So that should be the process. I came back to Kotoko, I met them in Kumasi, I told them, look, the lawyer wants to proceed with the case, but until you send him another mail asking him to go further, he's not going to do anything. They said, no, I should tell him to go ahead. I said, it's not going to work because you guys sent him a mail, official mail, stopping him. So you have to send him another mail to ask him to go ahead with the case. You can even state in the mail that Kotoko is not responsible for his fees. I will be responsible. I will be liable to pay his fees. Just send him the mail so that he could go ahead. They promised that they were going to send the mail, but they never did. So after about, let's say, a couple of weeks, Nana Jembibi, he called me and said they have decided to handle the case to Ashford Kotoko because he has never handled such case for them when they had an issue with CX. I told Koka to inform me as soon as you get to know. And then Akoto told me that Ashford is charging 10%. So honestly, I told him I'm not going to accept 10% because I was able to get Pedro, the Portuguese lawyer, to accept 5%. So if they want Ashford to take on the case, I have no problem with that. But I am going to pay only 5%. I will not pay more than the charge that the Portuguese lawyer is asking me to pay. So well, Ashford can go ahead with the case, but then I will pay only 5% of his fees. They will have to sort out the rest. I didn't hear from them again. Akoto told me he was going to report back to Koka and to the executive chairman, and whatever it is, they'll get back to me. They never got back to me again until recently. These issues came up that Kotoko wants me to pay the $150,000 transfer fee because I have signed an undertaking. Apparently, Esperance was reluctant to pay the fee because when they asked their accounts department to pay Kotoko, one of the accounts department members said they had an issue with Kotoko as far back as 2015. That was a Clote transfer saga. Emmanuel Clote was a player of experience. He went on loan to Arab Gulf, And then when he returned, he came straight to Ghana, signed for Asante Kotoko, claiming he's a free player. So the document that he showed to Kotoko was in French. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if they translated it or they read it well. They fed the system with that paper and registered Cloté. So Esperance took the issue up to CAS and they won. CAS passed judgment and they won. And Kotoko was held joint liable because they didn't do due diligence before they signed Cloté. So and when we are held joint liable in such cases, CAS or FIFA doesn't really care who pays the money. Either Cloté pays the whole amount, or Cloté together with Asante Kotoko pays the whole amount, or Asante Kotoko pays alone. So the judgment was there. Kotoko had the opportunity to appeal. I don't know if they did or they did late, because when I spoke to Asafoniku, who was then the legal person when the transfer took place, when Bonsu's transfer took place, he said they did the appeal at that time, but the appeal was late, so it wasn't possible. It didn't get nowhere. So this was the main reason why Esperance was reluctant to pay the money. They wrote to Kotoko telling them that, look, you owe us $180,000, and therefore it's either you pay us that money and then we pay you Bonsu's money, or we strike the difference and then you pay us $30,000. But then Kotoko was not ready. They kept insisting that since I have signed an undertaking, I have to pay the money or get their money for them. It was not making sense for me, sorry for my word. But then I got back to Esperance. The vice president, Walid, is a very good friend. I said, Walid, why are you doing this to me? He said, Yussif, it is not in his powers. The board have decided that it's either Kotoko pays the $180,000 and then Esperance pays for the transfer of Bonsu, or they strike the difference and Kotoko must balance them. So they wrote to FIFA that, look, we had this case in 2015. Judgment was passed in our favor, but Kotoko failed to pay the money. So FIFA wrote back to Kotoko, instructing them to pay the money or they face punishment, that is demotion. And the deadline for the payment was yesterday, the 19th of March. So as we speak now, I don't know if Kotoko really responded to that letter, if they've been able to sort things out with Esperance. I spoke last night with the vice president of Esperance, but he couldn't give me much details. All he told me was FIFA has written to Kotoko for them to pay the money. So it is not true that I am preventing Esperance to pay Bonsu's transfer, or I should be liable for the payment of Bonsu's transfer. In actual sense, indirectly, Esperance is paying Bonsu's transfer. The only difference is that it's either Kotoko pays the $180,000 and then Esperance pays the $150,000, or they strike the difference. In either way, the transfer fee of Bonsu is being paid by Esperance. So the rumors going out that I have taken Bonsu away to Esperance and Kotoko is losing, they are not getting their money, it's not true. I really feel sorry, I sympathize with Kotoko in this situation. It's very unfortunate, but personally, I wasn't also aware about Cloté's issue. If they had told me that there was an issue like that, I would never have signed the undertaking. I signed the undertaking in the interest of my player and in the interest of Kotoko, because I knew the legal means to force Esperance to pay the money if they had failed or they had refused to pay. That is why I was so confident of myself to sign that undertaking with Kotoko before the transfer went through. So this is the whole issue, Sadiq. I have not done anything wrong. I really feel sorry for the club for this situation, but please, people should not blame me. I have not done anything wrong. I did the best for my player and the best for Kotoko. At least I didn't know there was a debt of $180,000 that Kotoko was supposed to settle with Esperance, and that is why all this issue is up. There has been a lot of rumors and stories that I personally have benefited from this transfer. Some are even saying that Esperance they've paid a lot of money to me as agency fee, and because of that, I'm not doing any effort to get Kotoko to get their money. These are all false. I have not benefited €1 or $1 from this transfer. I have not taken any commission from Asante Kotoko or from Esperance. Nothing, no money at all. Even when I got Kwame Bonsu and other players to Kotoko, I never got a penny, a CD. I sympathize with the club. I do everything for the club because it's a club that I love, and I feel like giving back to the club. And therefore, people shouldn't think that I'm selfish or I'm thinking about myself. They can make reference and ask the current management if I have ever taken a penny from them for all the services that I've been rendering to them. I have not taken nothing. Even though I'm entitled to 20% of the transfer fee, I have not taken nothing from Asante Kotoko.